We're hoping to get playoff ready. Takes all those little things in the playoffs, the simplicity of it and the intensity of it. So that's what we're looking for tonight.
Go next to Paul Friesen from the Winnipeg Sun. Go ahead, Paul.
Hey, Neil, I know we've asked versions of this maybe in the past. We just had Nate Thompson talking about how hard it's been not to see his son. What's been the hardest part for you, and how would you kind of sum up this crazy regular season?
Yeah, the hardest part is the isolation. Like it's all hockey all the time. Like you don't have friends coming in, you don't have family coming in, and not only for ourselves, but think about the guys that have wives and kids at home. They're not allowed to do anything really. I mean, they can do the necessary things and the essential things, but they really can't do much outside of their homes. So it's been a tough year for everyone.
We'll go next to Ken Wiebe from Sportsnet. Go ahead, Weber.
Neil, you've had a full season of no fans. You've also had the bubble experience. How will that help you prepare for this round? I mean, we know the playoff intensity rises, but it's obviously not the same as in years past where you can get that emotional buzz from the crowd.
Yeah, unfortunately, we've gotten used to at least I've gotten used to the no fans in the stands. Of course, we miss them, and this is the best time of the year to have them in the stands, but it's just the way it is, and we've kind of adapted to it.
We'll go next to Mike McIntyre from the Winnipeg Free Press. Go ahead, Mike.
Thanks, Gregor. Morning, Neil. Nate just said something kind of interesting about how hard it is to make the playoffs. Do we take it for granted how hard it is to make the playoffs in the NHL? 16 of 31, which means 15 of 31 every year don't make it. I guess next year it'll be exactly 50%. Is it harder than maybe people think just to get to the playoffs?
Yeah, I think it's real hard to make the playoffs, and I can say that because I've been on the flip side of it. Like my first 2 years of pro, even in the minors, like not only did we not make the playoffs, like we weren't even close. So like to put that in perspective, we could have scored maybe a few goals here and there and been close to making the playoffs, but that's still not making the playoffs. I definitely agree with him. There's a fine line to for how hard it is to actually make the playoffs.
Go next to Kelly Moore from 680 CJOB. Go ahead, Kelly.
Hey, Neil. Good morning. I just kind of curious how the conversations went with Paul Maurice when you were being sat out of games that, at least according to him, you definitely wanted to play. Did those discussions get a little animated from time to time?
No, they weren't animated. They're pretty one-sided. He did all the talking. So, yeah, I definitely wanted to play. I think anybody wants to play every game, but in talking with Paul and the trainers, it was best to miss those couple games and get ready to go for playoffs.
And
final question back to Kelly Moore. Go ahead, Kelly.
Yeah, and from that perspective, Neil, I mean, you were wrangling and dangling a couple of times there on Tuesday night with the Pionkian pirouette. Do you feel refreshed even with just, a couple of games off?
Yeah, definitely. I always say, I think not only physically, but mentally you get a bit of a refresher. And then it's funny, like I haven't watched a game from up top in a long time, probably a couple of years. So you get almost a different perspective when you're sitting up top in the stands and you see a couple more plays maybe you can make, or maybe that you have a little more room, a little more time on the ice. So that definitely helped in last game.
Thanks very much, Neil.